Welcome to Photo Finds. I am your host, Kevin E., and let's get started this week at the Point Orlando, which is a sort of shopping district and entertainment center in the middle of International Drive. This is new since I've been here. It's probably been here for several months, but not several years. They now require you to pay before you exit this parking garage, and so this is kind of a new thing in Orlando itself. First of all, to have paying for parking is a little bit rare, and to not have any attendance where you have to use the automation machines, that's something that caught my attention, so I thought I would point it out while we were here. Now, you've possibly heard by now that many of the Walt Disney World attractions are receiving makeover in the form of adding FastPass. Now here we see that the queue entrance area to the Seas with Nemo and Friends is getting some enhancements, and this is one of many attractions that will be getting FastPass in the coming months and years. What's behind this is Disney's push into a new technology, ride reservation technology called XPass. XPass will allow people to make ride reservations from home before their vacation. So we don't know the time frame, weeks, maybe months. And we don't know any of the details, like how many they'll be allowed to make and whether people might be able to make more of them if they're staying at the Disney hotels or maybe just the expensive deluxe hotels. None of this has been announced, but they are starting to implement some additional fast passes, and they're also starting to make sure that people return to their fast pass window and don't accept late returns anymore. The suspicion is that Disney will continue to have regular day of fast pass available, although there may be fewer of those. Now, none of this is stuff we're talking about in the foreseeable future, at least a couple of years out, but the fast pass machines may arrive long before then. Let's take a quick trip out to the Kennedy Space Center. Now, this is a quote-unquote theme park. It's kind of half museum and half park, I guess, over by the launch sites for the space shuttle and other rockets. And you see they're doing some work up at the front of the park. Most of this has to do with what they're building in the back of the park here. As you see, Atlantis is coming to the Kennedy Space Center Visitors Center, and it will be a permanent resident there. So after the shuttle gets retired, it will take over a new building that's being constructed in the corner here in summer of 2013. Now, this is a temporary display inside one of the museum corners. These are replicas of the earliest and then the current and then the future probes that are on Mars, and these are fairly large. This last one especially is almost the size of a small car. We took the up-close tour, which is an upcharge of $25 to go to the vehicle assembly building, which you see here, and go inside of it. Now, this is quite rare to go inside the vehicle assembly building. And there they have one of the Orion spacecraft, and you can get a kind of a glimpse at how large this is. This is just the central corridor of the vehicle assembly building. There are facilities on the sides, and that's where they actually assemble the rockets or the space shuttles, and we'll see those in just a moment. Here's inside one of the sides where Space Shuttle Discovery is being worked on. And so we spent several minutes in here in the vicinity of Space Shuttle Discovery, and we don't get to approach it any closer than what you're seeing here, but it was quite a thrill just to see a space shuttle from ground level being worked on in the vehicle assembly building. So this is next to the vehicle assembly building, was meant to be a launch pad for the replacement for the shuttles until that program was canceled. They are now retrofitting it for the Orion program and the exploration to Mars. Next to the shuttle launch experience, which is a kind of simulator, is where they are building the shuttle Atlantis building, and these are some of the concept art you can see hanging on the wall for that shuttle building. And you can see that the shuttle itself, once it becomes displayed, will be kind of canted on its side and up in the air. You'll be able to see it from several different angles, I think. You'll be able to walk underneath it as well. And I think they're planning to have it open with its payload bay doors opened and the Canadarm extended. So these are some of the construction walls for Atlantis and what awaits us once that building opens in 2013. Switching over to the Walt Disney World area, this is a shot of the Seven Seas Lagoon. I was attempting to take a shot from the monorail of the ferry boat, which is leaving the Bay Lake area here. That's an unusual shot in and of itself. It wasn't until later that I realized, and this is taken on my iPhone, that the shot kind of looks like it's not from Walt Disney World. It kind of looks more like a shot of the Mississippi River. We are here in New Fantasyland to take pictures of the continuing evolution of the buildings in the back, and this wall here. Never has the crowd been so excited about a wall. We are witnessing part of the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs coaster. And this is kind of a look into that same vicinity of Fantasyland. You see on the wall here, this wall is for Winnie the Pooh, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, where the Tigger Bounce area has now being removed. It's behind walls, and the rumor is a meet and greet will go into that spot in the meantime. This wall is old, of course. That's the Little Mermaid ride in the corner there. So we are now faced with a corridor of walls to go through the regular Fantasyland, and off to the right-hand side here is where the new stuff is opened. Now, you've probably seen elsewhere on the internet since this last update of Photo Finds that they have opened a corner of New Fantasyland called Storybook Circus, and in that corner they have these tent facilities and shops are not open yet, but they have the new Dumbo is open, the old one is still being worked on. The Barnstormer is open, and the train station is open. And so I don't have a detailed walkthrough of those. I thought I would take you through just a couple of the details that you might not have seen in other places. Now, hanging on the wall here are some of these posters, and I thought I would show a quick glimpse of the various posters that you can see hanging on the wall on your walk into the Storybook Circus area. Some of those reference things that are yet to come, such as the Casey Jr. Circus Train, which is going to be a splash zone and kind of water playground for kids. That's behind the walls next to the very highly themed restrooms deep into the land. And so if you haven't had a chance to look up on other websites and see the coverage of the Fantasyland expansion, you should have a look. Now, as I mentioned, I'm not going to take you through everything, but I'm going to point out a couple of things that might get short shrift on other websites. This is the Barnstormer, its front sign, and on the back side of the front sign you can see Wiseacre Farms kind of jumbled up, and this is done as if to imply that the boards used to make up the Barnstormer sign were reconstituted from the old Barnstormer sign, or pieces of the old Barnstormer, which was Barnstormer at Goofy's Wiseacre Farms. And so this is a tribute to the former version of the attraction, as are the pants, you can't see them here, and the socks that used to be there from the Wiseacre Farms. At the highly themed restrooms, you'll notice this little sign just outside the restroom doors, Carrollwood Fire Department. Carrollwood is mentioned here in front of the train station, and again at the clock at the top of the train station. Walt Disney's home railroad, so a small-sized railroad that was in his actual backyard in California, he nicknamed the Carrollwood Pacific Railroad, named after the street he lived on. And so Carrollwood is kind of a internal reference to Disney Company history. Now, the Dumbo attraction you've probably seen in other updates, but it is spectacular at nighttime, and so I thought it would be important to show just a few of the pictures of what it's like when these LEDs across the bottom change colors. They almost have a kind of world of color effect if you've seen that show in California, particularly when they hit all the colors of the rainbow all at once. There's no fountains except for the ones that spout from the top here, so it's not exactly like World of Color, but it really provides a neat effect and adds not only kinetics but really some splash of color to the area that's going to be very welcome. There's that Barnstormer sign from the front. I thought I would point this out here, that the sign you see in the standby entrance is digital and it's backlit. So it's made to look like it's old-fashioned. You see as if the numbers would flip here. But it's a digital sign, and so it really pops out when it's nighttime, as you can see. This is a view of the train station from that same spot at the Barnstormer. And this is the Barnstormer itself from the inside. They have some additional props in the background there, as well as props in the exit to imply kind of the Evel Knievel Daredevil theme of Goofy. This is what it looks like in one corner of the facility. This is at the train station itself, and I wanted to capture what it looks like at night around here. And it's not overly lit. They don't have too much in the way of floodlights, and so I thought that was really very nicely done. This is the train station itself, and a kind of a wheelchair waiting area over on the side. I thought it was nicely done that they didn't go overboard with the lighting for once. And this kind of mood lighting is really closer to what you would find at Disneyland than at Walt Disney World, and I'm delighted to see it make its way over to the East Coast as well. That does it for another week of Photo Finds. Thanks again for joining us, and we will catch you next time.